Communications and Outreach for the Alaska Commission on Postsecondary Education, or ACPE. And again, like Dominica mentioned as well, I'm thrilled to see you all here today participating in the ACAC training. It's been great to see in the chats just the wonderful representation that we have here today and your interest, excuse me, in learning more about the wide variety of post-secondary education pathways and resources that we have here in Alaska. So as Dominica mentioned, I will be kicking things off this morning with a brief overview about ACPE. As many of you may know, though it might be new to some of you, ACPE, again, we're the Alaska Commission on Post-Secondary Education. We are a state resource for students, teachers, counselors, school districts, community organizations, providing, again, a variety of resources and financial tools to help our students and families prepare for post-secondary education. And again, we consider a wide variety of educational opportunities in that, or under that umbrella of post-secondary education and training. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen and officially kick things off with my PowerPoint. Okay. Is everybody able? I'm not sure which one. Hold on one second here.
Yeah, we were getting your presenter view.
Yep, I got that, Julia. Thank you. Sorry about that. I'm not sure why that happened. Let's try this one more time. Are you able to see this now?
Not yet.
There we go. Still not yet?
Nope.
My gosh, guys. Well, better to have this kickoff, right? I'll take the technology challenges for everyone here. Screen one. There we go.
Yay, thank you,
Yay,
Kate.
we've got it. Okay. All right. So again, as I mentioned, I'm Kate Hillenbrand, the Director of Communications and Outreach. And I will be giving a brief overview, as I mentioned, about the Alaska Commission on Post-Secondary Education. So first off, I'd like to give a recap about kind of what we've been up to over the last year with regard to our post-secondary education planning resources. So we've had quite a few things going on within the organization, and these are different actions that we have taken for our Alaskans, because really our Alaskan students and families are who we're here for. So as I know, and many of this, again, you'll be hearing about throughout the ACAC training. So I'm really giving that high-level overview. We have ongoing work happening with our Alaska FAFSA Completion Initiative, FAFSA being the free application for federal student aid. And the reason why this initiative came about, it's been in place for a number of years, each year kind of updating and reinvigorating our charge towards increasing the number of Alaskans who complete their FAFSA. It's because Alaska, unfortunately, has one of the lowest FAFSA completion rates in the country. We know that there is a direct correlation to completing the FAFSA and increased access to post-secondary education funding, as well as students who pursue post-secondary education. So having our students complete the FAFSA is absolutely critical in this process. ACPE offers a FAFSA completion website with a number of different kinds of FAFSA completion resources available statewide. We are also going to be hosting our first ever Alaska FAFSA Summit at the end of October at the Anchorage Downtown Marriott. If you are interested in joining us for the FAFSA Summit, please let us know. Registration is open for that event. And then again, you'll be hearing more about this throughout the course of the ACAC training, but there are a variety of FAFSA completion events that happen regularly that folks can take advantage of, such as the Master the FAFSA training, FAFSA Wednesdays, as well as FAFSA Time Alaska. We have also done a statewide launch of ACCIS 360, which I know you'll be hearing a lot about from Julia Renfro a bit later, so I won't steal her thunder and get into that too much today or this morning. But ACCIS is the Alaska Career Information System, and this 360 revamp offers users a responsive and updated platform design. There are new features for our students to be able to utilize when they are building their portfolios, as well as we've gone through a complete redesign of the ACCIS 360 website. So if you haven't had the time or the opportunity to check out ACCIS recently, I encourage you to do so. The new platform as well as the new website are incredibly user-friendly and have tremendous benefit for our students. We also have updated our ACPE education loan programs. So that's another part of ACPE where we offer student education loans. We have noticed over the last number of years that with the cost of attendance increasing kind of across the board for post-secondary education, students had a funding gap between the amount of funding they were able to receive through the federal government, but then what that actual bill was at the end of the day. So we have, in order to be more responsive, we have been able to increase some of our loan limits to be able to help fill that gap and again, help our students get one step closer to being able to pursue their education in the ultimate goal of being able to earn their credential and be part of the Alaska workforce. Lastly, excuse me, we have also kicked off our Kids to Careers Bridging Initiative, which really is kindergarten to 12th grade, this great programming that has the intent of guiding students all the way through, again, kindergarten through high school graduation, where there are resources for students, families, teachers, counselors, etc., to provide appropriate grade level guidance. Each year, a student goes through their education to be able to best prepare them and plan for that next year ahead. So with this recap, again, our intent is always to serve Alaskans. So, what have these changes, what have these actions done to impact Alaskans? So here's a couple pieces here to mention. We have put the Alaska FAFSA Completion Initiative in place because, again, like I mentioned, we know that FAFSA completion is tremendously important in order to be able to connect our high school graduates with their education after graduation and then ultimately entering the workforce. And as many of you know, how to pay for that is really the ultimate question. And so by not completing the FAFSA, our students are taking themselves out of the running to access millions of dollars in aid. We do have a statistic that between the class of Alaska's high school graduating class of 2021 and 22, they left over $10 million in Pell Grant money on access because they did not complete the FAFSA. So, you know, really there's a lot of money at stake, and that's why it's so critically important for our students to complete the FAFSA. With regard to our ACCIS updates and rolling out ACCIS 360, that action impacts Alaskans and having more in-depth and personalized resources readily available to be able to build enhanced and more personalized education and career plans. And then ultimately our goals here are to encourage enrollment in post-secondary education, persistence, and then completion, because ultimately building these programs and increasing financial access will help to keep our Alaskan students here in Alaska. So with that kind of recap of what we've been up to over the last year, I do want to share out some of our ACPE resources that are available to all of you, as well as to the students and families with whom you interact. So we do have two non-loan financial aid based resources for students. We have the Alaska Education Grant and the Alaska Performance Scholarship. The two big distinctions here: the Alaska Education Grant is need-based, and again, students must complete the FAFSA in order to be able to receive this grant, because again, it is based on what their financial need is in pursuing post-secondary education. The range of awards there for the students is anywhere from $500 to $4,000 a year. Then we have the Alaska Performance Scholarship, which again does require the FAFSA in order to receive. However, unlike the AEG, the Alaska Performance Scholarship is merit-based. So that means it's not at all based on financial need. It's based on the three criteria that you see on your screen. So your students in high school need to complete a specific curriculum, earn a qualifying GPA, and there's 3 different levels of GPA that they would need to meet in order to earn this. And then lastly, earning a minimum score on college placement or work-ready exams, such as the ACT, SAT, or work keys. I have that bolded because last year there was legislation under review that to revamp the Alaska Performance Scholarship and to potentially remove that test score requirement. However, that legislation did not pass in the last legislative session. So as it currently stands, those are the 3 criteria for eligibility. Students still must complete or earn a qualifying score on any of those tests in order to qualify. And all of the information that I'm sharing with you regarding the regarding ACPE resources, there's a link on each of the pages here, and you can certainly get more information about any of these programs on the ACPE website. So then, as I also mentioned, in addition to the scholarship and grant opportunities, ACPE does also offer education loans. Again, these are state loans created by Alaskans for Alaskans. They have on average lower loan interest rates compared to the national private rate loans that you may see online or in the news. And what our research has found is that our students who borrow or take out an ACPE loan, over the life of their loan, they do actually save close to $9,000 by borrowing through ACPE versus borrowing through a private lender. So that is definitely something to consider. And as I did mention earlier, there have been some updates to our loan programs so that students have more access to funds or to the funding sources that are needed to cover the full spectrum of their costs. So those gaps that we talked about before, they now have the greater flexibility in order to fill that gap. So additionally, so we had our financial programming. I did want to give a brief look, a little visual here about all of the outreach programs and resources that are offered through our team specifically. So as you know, you're here participating in the ACAC annual training. We've also talked about AKCIS 360, our financial literacy and loan programs. We have our kindergarten through 12th grade bridging programs called Kids to Careers, our scholarships and grant programs, and then two others that we have not yet mentioned today is our institutional authorization, which that's more the consumer protection side of things. So ensuring that our students, once they're in post-secondary, are receiving the education that they're offered by an institution is meeting those promises. They're following the rules. They are delivering the education that they intend to deliver. And then lastly, we have our ACPE Success Center, which is a tremendous resource offering Alaskans one-on-one or small group guidance for things like FAFSA completion, scholarship research, college career program applications. It's a wonderful resource, as I said, for our students to have kind of that one-on-one resource that can help walk them through some of these maybe more confusing or challenging processes as they look to as they look to pursue post-secondary. And so with that, I will wrap up my presentation. Be happy to open things up to any questions if there's time. Turn it over to you, Dominica.
Thank you, Kate. And I've been diligently sharing links to all the resources in the chat box.
I appreciate that. Dominica knows I'm not very good at managing a presentation and the chat box, so I appreciate that, Dominica.
No worries, Kate. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Individuals may either unmute themselves to ask a question or pose a question in the chat box.
I'll also go ahead and put my email in the chat if anybody has questions that they'd like to ask me directly.
There is a question from Erin. Where can we find out information about the Kids to Careers resources? Thank you, Erin. And Kate, I will let you answer this question.
Thank you, Dominica. Erin, that's a great question. We are actually very close to launching our new Kids to Careers website. So I would say probably within the next week to 2 weeks, it should be ready to go and online. A couple of the resources are currently available if you're working with younger students. We do have our early career explorers part of Kids to Careers, as well as the Kids to College curriculum, which is really geared towards 5th, 6th graders. But the full rollout of the Kids to Careers program, which is really kind of the new component, is the 7 through 12 piece. I'm hoping that's ready to be launched within the next 2 weeks. So when that happens, we can definitely get the email out with connecting folks to the website once it's available.
Thank you, Kate. That is the only thing I haven't shared because, as you mentioned, we still have Kids to College
Correct.
on our website.
Mhm.
Thank you, Kate. I also shared the link to Alaska FAFSA Summit. We were asked if this event will be available virtually or only in person. So yes, only in person at this time, but it's a free event. So if you have the opportunity to come to Anchorage, please register and join the conversation about the FAFSA. I don't see any other questions. So thank you so much, Kate. I appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, Dominica. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time as well.
And Kate will talk to us about Alaska FAFSA Completion Initiative, a little more about that tomorrow as well. Thank you, Kate.
Okay, take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So with that,